what's going on, guys? It's Nick here from Ways of Wealth. Thank you for tuning in. It is week 15 of the market recap. If this is your first time here, we do this every single week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like the video. What we do is we break down the past events in the stock market and also in the economy, and we see how that's affecting our portfolios. The topics that we'll take a look at today are the quantitative easing that's happening with the Fed. We'll take a look at what the Fed has done in the past week. We'll look at the S&P's performance over the past week. What a great week that was. I know that we've touched on a few things in the past, so dead cat bounce, and we'll get into that a little bit further. And the third and final topic is Ray Dalio, who is one of the guys that I look up to, is releasing weekly updates of where he thinks the economy is going. So that's something that we'll break down and you can check out and read along with me. All right, let's get right into it. So in theory, with the downturn in the economy, what the Fed will do is they will try monetary policy in order to stimulate business. What they'll do there is they'll lower the interest rate. They'll make things cheaper for people to go get loans or, get a mortgage and so forth to kind of increase consumer confidence. That's the whole basis behind it. They'll increase the money supply and make it more available so that people can go spend money and so forth. Well, what we've noticed now, and this has kind of come about since 08-09, is that the interest rates are so low that monetary policy is essentially ineffective. So they've had to come up with a different way in order to spruce up the economy, another way to help drive that demand or that consumer confidence. And what they decided to do, and it's still yet to be saw in terms of what the results are, but it's quantitative easing. So quantitative easing, the only time that it's really been implemented was in Japan. In Japan, they really don't have, it had minimal effects. So the story's still out. And the first time that they used this was in the 08-09, the Great Recession. They did 3 different allotments of quantitative easing, and that was meant to kind of spruce up the economy, jumpstart it, give it a little jolt to get going forward. So what is quantitative easing? What quantitative easing is, in a nutshell, is the Fed printing out a large sum of money and injecting it by buying bonds or even equities in the market. Now, what they're doing is they're increasing the money supply, but they're also taking the supply of the equity or bond off the market, which is in turn, in the long term, supposed to increase the demand. Now, there is potential flaws to quantitative easing, and the critics say that due to the large supply of money, coupled with high corporate debt, high personal debt, will lead to inflation. Now, inflation is where the price of goods go up. So as you saw when you were younger, a can of Coke probably costs less than it does today. That is the product of inflation, and that is where the concerns come in when you look at quantitative easing after 1 or 2 years after being implemented. And why this relates is we got some news this week that was relatively shocking to most investors, was the announcement that Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve were going to contribute $2.3 trillion to the high yield corporate bond market. Now, that is where you start looking at how involved is the Fed, or is this a free market? And that's something that is in the back of investors' minds and something that we should definitely pay attention to going forward. And basically why they want to focus on this market is due to these companies were pretty highly rated on the Moody's scale, meaning that they could pay back their debts. But now, with the crisis that's going on, it's to be of concern. So they're considering these fallen angels. So that's something that we should definitely keep an eye on in the coming future. From there, what we'll do is we'll pull up a chart. We'll take a look at JNK or Junk. It's a Barclays product, probably one of the biggest in the space. And you can see the performance. Obviously, over the 6-month period, you have a pullback. Like a majority of the other stocks, the whole market in fact. And then from what you can see in the past 5 days is a steady uptick. Now, I don't know if that's the Fed already going and buying, but there's definitely sentiment in the market due to the fact when Jay Powell comes out and he says he's not going to let this market fail. So until the COVID or coronavirus has passed, the Fed will be there to pump the economy with money. Taking that all into consideration, something to consider gold, because with the inflation that will happen in the coming years, gold is definitely known as a good asset to protect against inflation. I know that I mentioned it in last week's video, and I'll pull up a chart now and we'll just see how gold performs. So it's probably up about 100 basis points, and I think that it's only going to go higher. It may dip in the short run, but I definitely think that it's part of a portfolio moving forward. So we'll definitely touch on gold every once in a while to see where that's at. Now it's time to take a look at the S&P 500 and what a week it had. It did 12.1% growth this week. That's the largest percentage increase since 1974. This market is absolutely crazy. What we'll do is we'll pop up a chart right now. We'll take a look at the performance of the S&P on a day-by-day basis all the way back to March 26. What you can see from this chart is the amount of volatility that we've had. We've seen days as high as 7% in one day, and that happened on the 6th. And we've seen a market loss of 4.4% on April the 1st. This market is crazy. Sometimes we don't even see 1 to 2% gains over a month. So let's just take that into context and see how crazy volatile the market's been. With these volatile markets, it's completely understandable to be unsure of which direction you think it's going. I know a lot of camps think bear market, we have further downside to go. I know a lot of people that are bullish. They think that with the Fed pumping a lot of money into the economy, there's no way that this could fail. But with that being said, I'll pop up a chart that I stumbled across. If you are looking for some tips, please remember to see a financial consultant or advisor. This is purely for experimental purposes. But what we can see in this chart is the S&P, and we're going to take a look at the after hours versus the regular trading hours. And right off the bat, you can see it is beneficial to be buying the open and selling the close. If you did that since Jan 1, you would be up 9.3%. Now, if you know anybody that's up 9.3%, definitely let me know, because I'd love to get some financial advice from them. If you're not familiar with a third and final topic, I'll give you a brief breakdown, but I would definitely suggest doing a little bit more research. The gentleman's name is Ray Dalio. He manages the largest hedge fund. He's been around for a long time. What his claim to fame is predicting the 08-09 Great Recession. He was under the camp that we were about to have a financial crisis, and he profited large time. Now there's some controversy that his portfolio didn't do so well now. But with that being said, I'm currently reading his book, Principles, Life and Work. But he's also releasing a online series about the changing world order. Now he's putting out some viewpoints and trying to pull some similarities of a changing of empires. Now he's looking at since the beginning of dawn, the beginning of mankind, and he's pulled up 17 key factors, and which is indicators of that there's a switch in power occurring. There's definitely a lot of information to cover, so I definitely suggest going onto his website, signing up. I believe they're coming out on a weekly basis. Chapter 1 is already out, but we'll take a quick look at a chart now. We'll throw that up, and it's basically the estimates of relative standing for great empires, and this goes back to the year 1500. And what we can see is the empires that have ruled at those times, but I'd like to pull your attention closer to the time frame that we're in now, and you can see the decline of the US over the past 50 to 70 years now, and the steep increase for the past 30 years for China. And he makes some valid points. It's definitely great to have different perspectives and maybe look for opportunities for the US to continue its reign, and it's only inevitable that there will be a change in world power. Thank you for tuning in to week 15. If you like it, smash the like button. If you want to see next week's, make sure you subscribe, and I'll pop that right here. Thank you again. Happy trading. Have a great week on the markets.